everyone. Welcome to Around the ACL. Michelle Thompson here with Trey Ryder and Anthony Ione. I am back from Cabo. I had a great time, but I'm excited. Like some people are like, "Oh man, I gotta go back on Monday." I'm like, I actually really look forward to my Monday. I think it's really fun. So we got back on Friday, so a couple days to rest, and then here we are, and got to watch a really fun Open in the meantime. But I did listen to your guys' episode. I did listen to it in Cabo.
Let's get technical here. You listened to it on the way to the airport, all right?
Doesn't count.
Yeah.
I think the spirit of listening to it is like, I'm on the beach, I have nothing to do, so I'm gonna pop in the podcast. Pop in like this is like VCR back in the day or something. But I'm gonna turn on the podcast and listen to it. No. This was, I'm depressed that I'm leaving Cabo, so I'm on the way to the airport. Then I'll listen to these schmucks and see what they have to say.
To be clear, I have my favorite podcast is I'm a total fan of the Bachelor franchise, and there's these Bachelor podcasts that I really like. I could have chosen to listen to those. Okay, so did choose this over that.
This was the first podcast.
This was the first that I put on.
That makes it a little bit better. But we were still jealous that you were in Cabo and we were not. So we were not in Cabo.
Facts.
That's all allowed. Hey, we just missed the hurricane. We were like one of the, I think only like 3 flights went out after us, and then they closed the airport down for the hurricane.
That is
wow. Yeah, that would have been bad.
It's easy to leave Cabo when a hurricane's coming.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, you didn't want to stay longer, actually.
Like, we can get out of here. That's totally fine. And had some great cornhole to watch in the meantime. We had that second Open, and I got to watch quite a bit of that. Not sure how much you guys got to watch, but definitely, I don't think necessarily surprises for me in terms of the winners, but definitely some impressive performances for sure. So this was in Des Moines, Iowa. In our Open singles, we had Ryan Trader take the win there, and in second place, Ryan Windsor. For Open doubles, Fisher Hamilton and Gavin Cano. And in second place, Landon Crabtree and Justin Lang. A little bit of a surprise there. And then women's singles, Deb Odom. Senior singles, Steve Schrader. Junior singles, Ryan Trader. All around a really great weekend, kind of a different Open, obviously much smaller than the one we had in Open number 1. Anthony, you mentioned all the people who weren't in the field. But even with the people that were there for Crabtree and Lang to get that second place, I think says a lot about their performance. Overall, had a lot of fun watching. But Trey, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. Maybe I'll just start. With there on the doubles side, you mentioned Crabtree and Lang. Look, Justin Lang is a former pro, one that competed at a high level, had multiple seasons. A season, I believe, he finished top 25. So someone that has a lot of consistency. It's not the prettiest bag, but he's just one of those guys that finds the way to get bags in the hole. So seeing him near the top wasn't a big surprise for me. I was really impressed by Landon Crabtree. Right? To an extent, we've in the past viewed Crabtree kind of as this novelty just because he's the guy that spins the bag the wrong way, right? He's the guy, the little wrist action that actually gets it to cut more of like a slider or curveball rather than a normal, inside out revolution on a cornhole bag. So I think in the past we viewed him as a really good college player. We've reviewed him as kind of a novelty, as someone that's fun to watch, but not necessarily someone that we thought could get all the way to the end, especially at an Open. So I think it was really impressive. And for me, Crabtree increased his stock, if you will, as a rookie player coming in by watching him this past weekend. Justin Burton Jr. and Logan Chamberlain, it's like, well, if you don't run into Fisher Hamilton and Gavin Cano, we could be talking about them winning back-to-back Opens. Yep. I think they were just as good regardless of where they finished. I mean, they were right there with the potential to win the entire thing. But, all hands on deck, all eyes on Fisher Hamilton and Gavin Cano. This is a team of young players that first got together, and I just kind of want to set the stage, and I wanted to have a second just to think about it. But, I kind of forgot how this team formed, and I don't know if they knew each other ahead of time. So, again, I'm purely going off of what I saw from someone that was a fan of the game. and someone that wanted to get more into it and watching it more. And I want to step back for a second and go back to 2022 in the late spring, early summer. The last Open of the year took place in July. And going into the last Open of the year, Fisher Hamilton was short of being the last qualified junior player for the following season. He was under the age of 18, okay? And he was looking to qualify to become a pro, and the only way that month that he could improve his finish in Open standings had nothing to do with what he could do in singles, couldn't do anything in a regional, didn't have a conference event to go to. All of his local points were maxed out. The only thing that he could do in order to become a pro player that following season as a U18 player was to win the Open. So if you're the guy that has to win the Open, okay, I don't know about you, Anthony, but I'm calling every top pro that I can, and I'm offering them 75% of the money if we win it. I'm, hey, Mark Richards, you got somebody to play with? Can we play together this weekend? He doesn't do that. He picks Gavin Cano, a player that had just had a breakout performance in Arizona at the Open a month or two before, had also shown some signs of being a really talented younger player, and they pair up, and we go, I remember saying it. You're an idiot. Why wouldn't you pick somebody that would be better? Okay, why wouldn't you go?
I do remember that. Yes,
yeah,
I do remember that.
I said, why would you not go out and give yourself the best possible opportunity in order to win the Open? And in his mind, he must have said, because he didn't say it out loud, because he doesn't say anything, is I'm going to stick with my guy. And again, I don't know if they had become friends. I don't know if it was a BG bag selection thing. I don't know what ultimately brought them together. But ultimately, this team, based on that decision, saw success. They won their bracket. Fisher sweeps the event. He becomes a pro. They stay together as a pro team. They become a top 5 team. And now at this point, after this second Open, we're talking about Fisher Hamilton having, in just over a year, 8 total ACL titles of all time. Gavin, one behind him at 7. A team that has prided themselves on having a lot of success in doubles as a unit. They've won game after game, tournament after tournament, and at the big tournaments, they're right there at the end. I think it's incredible to think back of how this real powerhouse team formed. And then to an extent, it was a game of chance and a game of just trusting each other. Ultimately, that's why they're some of your best players in the world right now. So, my doubles thoughts are all centered around Hamilton and Cano and how this unlikely duo now kind of one of the best in the world.
Yeah, I was messaging Cano as you were speaking because I'm like, yeah, how did that history work out? And it makes sense. So they both won their singles brackets 2 years ago at the Vegas Open. So this is before they teamed up. So they both win their brackets. They're like, who's that guy? Who's that guy? And then they both needed points to solidify their pro standing. So they ultimately got together and said, hey, let's do this together. Let's team up. They had to get third or better in their bracket, and they ended up winning it. So that's how that history played out.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy story. That's literally just how they ended up together. Wild.
And now, yeah, I mean, now you mentioned at the beginning, you talked about this matchup against, or the potential back-to-back against, Chamberlain and Burton Jr. What do you think? I feel like these guys are constantly playing each other. Right. Are we talking a rivalry here? Like, I mean,
yeah,
they are constantly going head-to-head to take a bracket, to take a championship. Probably one of the doubles teams that we see matching up the most. What do you think about those two as a rivalry now?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. It's tough. I always struggle with calling things a rivalry when I know that they're somewhat close, right? They're friendly. They have a good positive relationship. To me, like, I don't know if I can call, Hamilton, Cano, Burton Jr., and Chamberlain a rivalry when But when I see Matt Guy, Brett Guy, Justin Burton Jr., Logan Chamberlain, to me, that's a rivalry.
Yeah.
Those two going head to head, that feels like a rivalry to me. Yeah, exactly. So, but I think to your point, I get what you're trying to say with the point is that they always feel like they got to go against each other. And I even started the bracket. I think they played in the second game. And you got to be thinking to themselves, man, can we stop playing these guys?
Right.
Can you play us against anybody else, right? Because I don't know this for a fact, and I know somebody else has got the numbers, and they're going to correct me, but to me, it feels like they're pretty 50-50 on some of the big stages of winning against one another, and they're very evenly matched.
Yeah, I would think so. Anthony, what are your thoughts on the Open?
Yeah, just a couple thoughts. We're seeing all these injuries, right? We got Hunter Thorne out there with a busted up ankle. Look at Jackson Gore making it through, winning a bracket with something on his wrist. I thought Hunter Thorne did really well sitting in a boot. I mean, he in both doubles and singles. Now, probably better that the boot is in the back foot. I think on the release and a lot of the transition of the weight, your front needs to be really strong. We even see some players kick the back foot back, so you don't really need that for a lot of weight bearing. But still, you got this concrete block on the bottom of your foot, and Hunter Thorne was out there still competing. So that was interesting. Even through injuries, these guys are able to compete at the highest level. Gary Bearpaw, we probably should take a moment just to talk a little bit about that guy. We've heard K9, Wally Castler talk about him in the past as a guy we should look out for. And he just didn't really break through in brackets the way that we thought he would in the past. But this time, I think he did. He took down a young 30 ranked player in Ian Cripps. He took down Matt Guy, and they're going to be playing very similar games, that old man's game, slides and airmails. He beat Matt at his own game. I mean, that is pretty impressive stuff. And then he went through Gavin Cano to take the king seat. So we're talking about a 50-year-old plus bagger out of Oklahoma. Absolutely ridiculous airmail. And like I was saying, doing it his way, different from all of the other bracket winners, because we're seeing this trend. We said it, we called it a couple years ago, or the beginning of last season, is this the year of the carpet bag? I think what we were trying to say is are we now going to see this new dirty style roll game take over? And that's what we're doing. And just check this match out against Matt Guy. This guy threw a 10-point, through the whole tournament, he threw a 10.38 over 141 rounds, but it was the match against Matt Guy that I found absolutely insane. It was a 31-round battle against Matt Guy. So we're talking about running bags, open holes, open boards. Out of 31 rounds, 21 rounds he threw a four-bagger. This is Gary Bearpaw. Matt Guy shot an 11.0 and loses to Gary Bearpaw's 11.23. Absolutely unbelievable. But I think that was the breakout that Wally has been talking about, and why we should be looking at a Gary Bearpaw. In singles, you talked about the bracket winners: Ryan Trader, Ryan Windsor. We had Tony Forbes out there, as well as Kyle Hutley, a previous pro, making an appearance. Back to back, we got to note this: back-to-back bracket wins for the Ryans. Ryan Smith and Ryan Trader also won brackets back at Open number 1. So if we're kind of looking at the season out of the gate, you win back-to-back brackets at Opens, that's very significant. As a guy who was always pulling for Ryan Windsor, he was always on my top 10. He kind of faded a little bit, and I held him into that top 10 longer than I probably should have. This is why. Ryan Windsor is a gamer. He is a veteran, and I don't think at any moment he couldn't win. I mean, at any moment he can win a tournament. And I think that he's showing he's still at the top of the game. Ryan Windsor had a tough run. He went through Ryan Smith, Fisher Hamilton, and then he had to get through Burton Jr. twice to take down his bracket. All three of those players, open champs, national champs. And this is interesting. Ryan Windsor wins his bracket with the 16th ranked PPR in the bracket. So you got the bracket where you got to scroll down to find Ryan Windsor in the PPR rank. So further showing that this game is more than just running bags and putting him in the hole. Let's see. Kyle Hutley, he had the easiest bracket, but I won't take away the fact that he double dipped Jordan Power in the final. By far the easiest bracket. If you looked at who he went through, there really wasn't much until he ran into Jordan Power, but he double dipped him. So I got to give him the credit there. And then this Tony Forbes kid, Not even a one of the 250 pros. I believe he's an elite out of the PDC. A young kid. His run, he takes Creek Killer 21-20. And he was up 20-10 and then loses that one 21-20. And then he goes on a run. So this is Tony Forbes out of the elite. He goes through Brady Foster, one of the rookies that we're keeping an eye out, a new partnership with Jimmy Humans this year. Ian Cripps, an open winner, Carson Getty, a national champ, Matthew Creek Killer, a national doubles champ, Gavin Cano, and then double dips Bear Paw, bringing that 11+ style game. So my question to you, Trey, is, and I was kind of thinking about this, is he wouldn't have been a part of the original draft, right? So does that make him, does it work that the PDC comes out of a regionally based team?
Correct. So you can, as an elite player, and that's what I'm actually checking right now to see if he's even an elite player.
Yeah, because my question was going to be,
yes, he is. He is an elite player. He is an elite player.
So one of the kids that the Cali Slingers have to decide on, right? Because we have Tony Forbes, we have Spencer Fabianar, we have Adrian Brunson. These are 3 guys in this area that I don't know how you choose.
Draft them right now.
I know, but they're under 18.
Kenny?
Yeah, they can only have one under 18 elite player. So they can
only have one. How do you choose?
I think he's 16. I think he's 16, 17.
I mean, if they can't all go to the same events, right? You can pick up one for one for another, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I mean, if he's under 18, he's an elite player, then he is, yes, eligible for to be picked up by his home team. So if he's from California, then the Cali Slingers. That's only Cali Slingers can take him.
Yeah, his stock just went up substantially. And you threw that list out there, Meesh. I mean, the way that this kid just performed was very, very impressive, and who he went through. So he might be one of the underages they need to consider bringing in.
If you think for a second Meesh is going to pick against Adrian Brunson, you are delusional. Delusional.
Adrian proved himself right in the finals last year. I mean, I think and they would have loved to have kept him, but. I don't know. This is a conversation because all those guys are from up near me. They're all NorCal guys, and this is the conversation we have. Like, I don't know how you choose because they're all under 18. That's tough.
A couple on Ryan Trader. Obviously, he ends up winning the whole thing, right? And how about Trey's hot take? By the way, he called that one against an insane field. We went through the field. The Creek Killers, the Canos, the Fishers. Matt Guy was in the field, and it's Ryan Trader that comes out and wins this. So a heck of a call on the hot take. But to me, it was, man, how comfortable is this kid throwing the slick side of the bag? His push is absolutely nasty. He's got the roll to go with it. I think his decision-making is way above his years. He really does take his time, looks at the board, makes a decision where we see a lot of these younger players ready to throw the bag before the bag even stops on the board. So I got to give him some props on that. He ends up winning. What are your thoughts on, too? These pucks, it is amazing that the pros can sense just a little bit more bounce with a different setup. And we're learning, like, are we on concrete? Are we on wood? Is there pucks in the mix? Is there carpet? Is there not carpet? And these pros are actually able to sense when they're getting more hop out of this. And it does affect pushes for these players that throw super flat bags. What are your thoughts on the pucks and how that impacts the game?
To be honest, I haven't done a deep dive into how it actually affects them. Now, you kind of have to go anecdotally, right, at this point to say, because I don't even know how you'd measure that, right? It's almost like a feel, right? Because players playing in different conditions. I mean, in my mind, honestly, like I kind of like when pros have to adjust. I've always been an adjustment guy. I talked about in the past about how, I'd love to see a day when there's different conditions. You walk into a national and it's a slow speed national. You walk into a national, it's a fast speed national, right? And I love seeing that different level of adjustments because that's what every other sport does. Even in football, the playing surfaces are a little bit different as you go to different places. In golf, obviously green speed plays a huge difference in how it goes. So I almost like to see variation and like to see how pros have to handle all of it.
Yeah, I agree. One other factor there, Meesh, I'm not sure if you caught it, but the enforcement of the step over rule. I mean, we saw some of these players getting on the broadcast and couldn't help but looking over to Josh like every other throw, like, are we good? Are we good? And it
Did I
was
pass?
messing with, I think it was definitely affecting some of the players, guys like Shibner and Hamilton that have that kind of, transfer, that momentum that can go over the line. Obviously, it didn't affect Hamilton was able to make the adjustment. Shibner had a really good run, but you could tell that it was in their mind. They kept looking over to make sure that they were still compliant. So something to think about moving forward.
Yeah, well, it's really simple. Like, they're all going to throw their best in automation. And I say it till I'm blue in the face. So like when you see pros in the zone, they're in an automated state with their throwing. So when you add in, like, I have to make sure I don't do X, Y, Z, it takes them out of automation. So you're going to see different play style. What the key for me, if I'm them, is drilling this new rule so that I can be in automation and not worry about it. Like, that's the solution to me. Like, you've got to be at home just drilling your pushes without the step over or starting farther back. But like, you've got to make it so automated that you don't have to even think about Keck standing there. You don't have to think about your foot coming up or whatever you need to do. But if you have to actually think about it, you're already screwed. Like, it's
and it's look, I've said this publicly. We're putting together an officiating program that's going to come out, and officiating is going to become more and more part of the game. Fortunately or unfortunately, depending on what your viewpoint is on that. But yeah, I mean, I think the step over rule was modified to address certain concerns, and I'm confident in the way the rule is written, and now it's about following the way it's written, right? So if there have been people in the past who, and I don't think anybody's ever, quote, abused the rule, right? I want to be clear on that. Like, I don't think anybody's out there like, nobody's looking, like, let's try it this way. It's been more of like, I haven't had a need with this new rule. Like, okay, people made a note of it, but they weren't like Michelle said, actively at home working on it. They're like, oh, okay, I don't usually do that, so I don't need to think about it in that regard. But as it gets enforced, that's something that more and more people are going to have to say, oh, wait, do I? Oh, I do. Like, and it's just something that they're going to have to correct. So I think addicted to cornhole, man, they're going to get they're going to get some positive vibes from the officiating crews that will start becoming part of events. But
are
overall,
you kidding me?
I think it's a good path forward.
You watch other sports, nobody's happy with officials. They always think they make the wrong calls.
Right. Yeah. That, you know what? You're right, Michelle. I'm going to go and we're going to fix this whole thing. And then like someone's going to get called on it. And then it's going to be like, what a terrible call. This guy blew the game. Like, yeah, you're absolutely right. You're right.
Nobody likes
it. Honestly, though, it's fine. It's an evolution of the sport. We're going in a positive direction. And I think everybody's will be glad to go that way.
Hey, Meesh, just a couple closing remarks on Hamilton because he's doing some really good stuff here. You mentioned his titles at the opener there, Trey. I just wanted to point out his open titles. If we look at all-time open titles, this is Fisher Hamilton's 6th open title, which is significant because it breaks the 4-way tie with Matt Guy, Alex Rawls, and Alex Hicks. Fisher Hamilton is now 3rd all-time in open wins behind only Trey Birchfield and Mark Richards. So that puts him 3rd in line. And just to mention, in that finals match, Fish was throwing gas. Check this out. He scored 19 of the 21 points to win that match. He only gave up 4. He was absolutely dominating his side of the board. And the same thing I was talking about earlier, and I've been hammering it for like 6 or 7 months now. You have to be comfortable with the slick side of your bag if you are a dirty player. Hey, that's great. You did all this great work to mess it up. Now you got to clean it up or make something happen. We saw Fisher Hamilton electing, and I love it because I've been talking about doing this for a long time, but it's really hard for players who throw a 4-5 speed and then flip it over and get a 9 to be able to make those adjustments in the game live, throwing a 4th bag open board slick side. So basically he's saying, I am comfortable controlling my speed. I do not want to leave a birdie putt short. Why would I come up a 4th bag short? And I'm maximizing my whole friendliness. So watch Fisher Hamilton, one of the few carpetbaggers throwing a 4th bag slick side open board. I think it's next level.
My last comment, Ryan Trader, King of the Midwest.
King
Put
of the
the crown.
Oh, you're kind of getting ahead of yourself, though, Trey.
Yeah, but that's what I said last week. Okay, fine. When you get to buy or sell, you already know what I'm going to say. So
Yeah,
we're good.
It's a little teaser. Let's go into some news around the league. ACL pros announced the new pro committee president, Josh Thielen. So congrats to Josh. Great man for the job, no doubt. The National College and High School Cornhole Championships will be back in Myrtle Beach December 28th through the 31st. And ACL announces hiring its first female executive chief business officer, Alicia Mullen. It's Mullen, not Mullins. I don't know why I thought that was plural.
No, Mullen. Yep.
Mullen. Okay, got it. Well, welcome to the team, Alicia. I did get to meet her briefly at the draft. Seems like an awesome addition to the team. She loves systems. I love systems. We're already a match made in heaven.
Yeah, I already told you guys are a match made in heaven. So she's gonna start you're gonna maybe wish you didn't know they didn't have that in common. She's gonna be on your phone. Michelle, fix this.
Hey, as long as
but all good.
People are following them, I'm good.
Yeah. Real quick thought. I know we're a little heavy, but I just want to say, Josh Thielen being the pro committee president. Pro committee was established to kind of give the players a voice, and this coming season, having kind of a leader in that regard, we think is really crucial to continue to grow that relationship between the ACL and the pro players. So really excited to see what Josh is going to bring. He served on the committee last year and now has some good things moving forward. National College and High School Championship. I'm going to be taking a very active role in those this year. So more information will be released this week of how people can get involved and everything there. And then, Alicia coming on the team is going to be great for us. She's really going to help us establish, like Michelle, those systems to make us better and better. So she's also taken on a good chunk of my team with marketing and social media and everything. So it's a good opportunity. We'll continue to get better, but no more micromanagement for me on the content team at events.
Yeah, I don't think you ever did that, but you are the opposite of a micromanager, Trey. I don't think that's
honestly, it's probably like literal opposite in sometimes a bad way. like oh yeah, they'll figure it out. They'll be good.
They got it.
Yeah, they got it.
I think it works out fine. It means you trust your team.
It's called trust. Yeah, it's called trust.
Yeah, too much trust sometimes. Too much.
We won't get into that, but we will get into the next round of roster grades from the pro team draft. As you said, you guys are kind of looking at the team as a whole, not so much how they performed at the draft, but overall how you feel like that team is coming together. We're going to focus on the American North this time. We'll go by one, and Trey will give us our grades and then or his grades, and then we'll chat about it. The first one being the New England Woodchucks. Trey, what do you got?
Yeah. So real quick, let's run through the roster. Keepers: Jimmy Humans, Jacob Trzynski, Storm Hogue, Zach Scheibner, and Michael Lucas Jr. Then they also trade to acquire Alec Ryan and Tyler Cobb. Drafting, they go Jeremiah Ellis, Caleb Franklin, Hunter Thorson, Mike McClanahan, Brandon Selmeyer, Nick Moore, Connor Weiss, and Bernie Portalessi. For me, they trade away Kyle Malone. I hated the trade, to be honest with you. Reason I hate the trade is simply because whatever the reasoning was, let's say, and Kyle has been public about this, that he still values teams in a very high regard, but let's say the reason that they traded him away was because he wasn't as successful in the team's format. Well, Michelle, if I'm someone that wants to give away a player that's not good in the team's format, then what would I trade for? Someone that's probably good at the team's format.
Someone that didn't go 0-7 with Tony
I'm not going to trade for someone who starts the year 0-7 in doubles play with Tony bleeping Smith. Okay, so I think it was a terrible trade. I did not like it whatsoever. I did like the Tyler Cobb trade. They moved up in the order. They got value in Tyler Cobb. Natural team chemistry on the Woodchucks. I really like that trade. In addition to that, love Jeremiah Ellis out of the gate. I thought it was really, really good pick there. They got a really strong contributor right out of the gate. And I think they got some good late value. I think the Canadians, similar to sometimes the women in the pro division, are naturally undervalued for whatever bias reason that people can think of. So Weiss and Portalesi, people forget Aviators. Connor Weiss would doubles partner with Ryan Tucker. Ryan Tucker was the first pick made by the Aviators after all of their trades. Connor Weiss was the second to last round, round 9. So when you talk about somewhat equivalency there, I think they stole some really great late value. Overall, giving the Woodchucks a B-. I would have had them B+ if they don't trade away Kyle Malone. That's how much I hated the trade.
Anthony, what are your thoughts on that grade?
Yeah, just the thoughts to the team. I mean, the Jimmy Humans factor is real. I mean, this guy sees a couple moves ahead. I think that he sees deeper into what a player could bring to a team. So I think there's that factor. He's a brilliant guy. I agree. Picking up some of those late picks, those are good ones by Jimmy Humans. Picking up a potential rookie of the year. We got Jeremiah Ellis out there who could actually come out and be the best rookie in the league this year. So yeah, it's tough. But yeah, when you do look at numbers, I mean, if you look at just the pros that they were keeping, they're bottom of the barrel in how those players ranked last season. If you look at the 4 rookies they picked up, they were kind of beyond the halfway mark on how they performed in the showcase. However, Jeremiah Ellis didn't perform very well, and we know that he's going to be a much better player than he performed in the showcase. Doesn't tell us everything, but it just showed us how they were able to perform in the showcase. Gives us a little sense. So I feel like Trey's right in the ballpark on that one.
All right, Michigan Marauders, Trey.
All right, Michigan Marauders. They keep Joe Niestedt, Jordan Power, Mike Ferreira, Jeremy Schermerhorn, Chucky Love, and Trevor Kufis. Now, I will say, and I'll get to this in a minute, a little bit more in depth, they did try to keep Jay Rubin, and they were, for obvious reasons, not able to do that because of his step away from the game. Then they go and draft Austin Cameron, Jamie Fincham, Mike Jackwis, Sarah Cassidy, Justin Carpenter, Gina Ramirez, Rob Vajanov, Maya Cup, Daniel Walker Jr., and Megan Maupin. Overall, I think they got a bad break with Rubin.
Yes.
I think Rubin is a key part of that team that would have elevated them to a high level. We talked all year long last season about how Justin Burton Jr. and Devin Harbaugh on the Ringers, when they paired up, they were unbeatable. Well, we forget that early in the season, it was Chris Day and Jay Rubin that straight up beat them. Jay Rubin was a founding critical part of that, and that's why I think they're going to suffer a little bit in there. I love their first 3 picks. I think Austin Cameron is an immediate contributor, right? I think he has some down tournaments that he needs to clean up a little bit, but this is a guy that could easily be a top 3 pick when he's at his upside. So this is a really talented young kid that's going to come in. Jamie Fincham, we know how much Anthony loves Jamie Fincham and how good that he has been at certain events. He performed not great at the showcase at my station, and I think that's why it dropped his pick down a little bit. But for me, we're talking about a potential first-round talent getting in the second round. And then in the third round, I had Mike Jackwis going in the first round. They get him in the third. So I think they absolutely killed it on their 3 picks there. Decent picks, pretty much in line, chalk the rest of the way. Overall, I still gave this team a B-. I think their keepers were a little bit lower than some of the other teams. Again, if they're able to have Jay Rubin, I feel like I'm speaking the same thing that I said about the Woodchucks. I think if they're able to get Jay Rubin, we're all the way up to a B+ here, but I'll keep the Marauders at a B-.
Anthony?
Yeah, I think Trail nailed that one. Jay Rubin, good point. Biggest hit there. Jackwis that late was good. Also picking up Justin Carpenter that late. I was surprised to see him go late. We're talking about a top 50 guy, who's getting picked. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 rounds deep into the draft. So another late good pickup for the Marauders there. But everything else, sounds good, Trey.
Ohio Aviators.
All right, so the Ohio Aviators, they keep Noah Almanza, Trey Birchfield, Fisher Hamilton, and Matt Abernathy, and Carson Getty. They trade to acquire Gavin Cano, which I'll get to in a second. Then they pick Ryan Tucker, Jeremiah Hector, Mike Hoffman, Evan Van Oss, Bella Suprenant, Dan Glagowski, Tony Franco Sr., Josh Thielen, and Kirk Owen. Overall, First of all, an absolute steal on the trade for Ohio. They get Gavin Cano, right? They traded the 5th overall pick in order to acquire Gavin Cano. Who went 5th overall? Alex Hicks. Now, we can argue back and forth about ranking or whatever, but to me, I upgraded going from Alex Hicks to Gavin Cano. Gavin Cano right now, especially in the doubles front, even in the singles front, is performing as a top 10 player in the world. And so because of that, I absolutely love what they got there. Their keepers are really is what is going to flex this team. I actually have a range on my grade, and the reason because I have no idea how Noah Almanza, Trey Birchfield, and Matt Abernathy are going to play this year, right? Those 3 keepers, not even who they traded, are single-handedly going to determine the success of this season coming in 2024. Fisher Hamilton and Gavin Cano, obviously disgusting. If Almanza and Birchfield can have a bounce-back year, this team is in an A type of range when it comes to grade because they can be that good. I didn't love the Ryan Tucker pick out of the gate. We're talking about someone that had to get in at the literally last possible conference qualifier. They didn't make it through standings, not through the regular qualifier, not through application, nothing. And then they get in on that last spot, and I'm going to take them with my first pick of the draft. That one worried me a little bit. Jeremiah Hector was pretty solid. Loved how late they were able to get Bella Suprenant. I know there's a big question mark here, but this is the equivalent of that really high performer with the off-the-field issues, nothing character-related, just simply don't know what's going to happen with Bella if she's able even to play. The good news is they got her late enough that if she's not able to play, then she doesn't play. And he didn't waste a second or first round pick. So overall, I'm giving the Ohio Aviators a B. If Almanza and Birchfield, though, they have the season that they need to have, and I think that they're trending towards, I think this team is all the way up to an A-.
Interesting. Anthony, what do you think?
Yeah, the only comment on the Ryan Tucker pick, if I'm looking at this correctly, they didn't get a first round pick, so they were deep. They were deep into the second round before they got their first pick. Yep. When they did pick up Ryan, but still in the field, they passed up on players like Crabtree, Valdivia, maybe even an Inglekin or a Jeremiah Hector who have experience in the league playing at that level. So I don't hate them too much for that, but I do see a couple players maybe that they could have went for instead. I do like the natural partnerships of Almanza, Birchfield, obviously Hamilton, Cano. Getty is very versatile. He could play really any type of bag, any type of game. So I think he's kind of a wild card, if you want, to match up with any other player. So with those 3 teams, they're going to carry the muscle for that squad.
Last one, Pennsylvania Ringers.
All right, your defending world champion Pennsylvania Ringers. They keep Devin Harbaugh, Justin Burton Jr., Matthew Creekiller, Gage Landis, and Tubby Cobb. That's disgusting. Then they go and they draft Matthew Troxel, Brady Foster, Trip Baker, Brevin Valdivia, Elizabeth Tennyson, Hunter Yacklin, Shaquille Maxey, Adrian Johnson, Sean Farrell, Jason Frady, and Tiffany Fincham. I kind of already alluded to it. They had great keepers. And what's even scarier is if Jacob Foreman doesn't step away, they replace essentially Tubby Cobb. Well, no, actually, they would have replaced Trey Hunt because remember, mid-draft, they traded away Trey Hunt to get a pick. So they would have kept Jacob Foreman instead of a Trey Hunt or somebody else on this list, which would have been ridiculous. So I think arguably behind the Florida Freeze, one of the best, if not the second best team that's coming back. Now, when I look at who they picked, I thought they got some good mid to late value. I think I really like Brady Foster. I'm high on him. Brevin Valdivia, kind of a couple rounds in. This is somebody that, yes, hasn't performed at the top 20 level in a couple years, but someone that any given day can be right up there. They got him pretty late. Shaquille or Tyrell Maxey. This is a guy that performed really, really well at the rookie showcase. And then in addition to that, followed up that performance playing alongside Curtis Haddix. They went toe-to-toe in the best in the world. Okay, I really expected Maxey. I remember sitting behind the scenes while you guys were on air, and they announced Maxey, and I went, he was still available? Yeah. I was very shocked. I think they got an absolute steal there, and I also think Sean Farrell, because of his very unorthodox throw, a lot of people don't take him seriously. This is a guy I've seen compete on the international level and consistently delivers at a high level. And they got him with their third to last pick. I mean, I'm not saying this guy needs to be a second round pick, but again, we're talking about that late value. That could be the difference in some of the games that are won or lost. Overall, love the Ringers. I give him a B+.
Anthony, quick thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's going to be one of the top teams. I think their top 6 can hang with any team. You mentioned how strong they are in the middle. I'd like to throw in Trip Baker as well. I think he's really going to outplay a lot of expectations this season. He's going to be strong for them in the middle, along with Valdivia. I think the difference between running it back as a champ and not is going to be the bottom. You need a guy like Adrian Johnson, who was in the last 3 or 4 picks, to really play above that. If Adrian Johnson could come out and outplay last season, what do you get from Jason Frady and a Tiffany Fincham? If they can squeeze some important wins out for this team, they could be the championship team for 2024.
All right, it's time for buy or sell. The first one that Trey kind of alluded to. Okay, now Ryan Trader is the king of the Midwest, which Trey is going to
buy. What else? Anthony and I kind of agreed with him, but he kept saying, I need to see more. I've seen enough. Fine. Maybe I give away the crown at the end of the season again, but right now, king of the Midwest, Ryan Trader, I don't see anybody beating him anytime soon.
Anthony?
I can't do it yet. And there's yes, I mentioned Alex Hicks last episode, but we have this guy out there. I don't know if you guys know him or not, but his name is Ryan Windsor. Is he in that same group?
No, he's
not.
Lakes.
Okay, so he must be like right on the border then.
He's Great Lakes. No,
okay.
You can't take Ryan Windsor. Hey, you know what? You can have him
in the Midwest.
Take Ryan Windsor. No. Keep Ryan Windsor. I still taking Trader.
Okay.
Yeah, if I don't have Ryan Windsor, I gotta buy.
All right.
I don't like it.
You gotta buy. All right. How about Fisher Hamilton passes Ryan Windsor on the all-time ACL titles list this season? Fisher Hamilton has 8. Ryan Windsor has 10. So is Fisher Hamilton going to pass Ryan Windsor? Trey.
Yeah. Buy. Anthony might feel differently. Look, I like Ryan Windsor a lot too, but I mean, is Fisher Hamilton, who's gotten 8 titles in like 15 months, going to get how many is Windsor going to win this year? Let's say he wins 2. To me, that would be a successful season for Ryan Windsor. Is Fisher Hamilton going to get 4? Yeah, I would bet my house on that. I wouldn't do that, but you should. I mean, I don't know. I'm buying it.
Anthony?
Yeah, you got to buy it. I mean, right now they're out playing doubles. So you got Windsor with a Creek Killer this year. They're going to be tough, but right now Hamilton, Kano are out playing that. So you'd have to assume they're going to up that in doubles. And then Hamilton's just killing it in singles right now. And Windsor is too. So even if you wash out singles, you got to look to doubles and say Hamilton's going to get some ground there.
Texas has the best pro lineup of any state. This is a big debate amongst the cornhole people.
This is a huge debate, and no matter what we pick, people are going to get angry right here.
Florida.
I think it comes down between Texas and Florida.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
If we're talking doubles, and I'll answer the question, Michelle, don't worry. If we're talking about doubles, okay, you have Caleb Batts and Eddie Grindersleeve, half of Fisher Hamilton, Gavin Kano, which the other half goes to Florida. And then all of Justin Burton Jr. and Logan Chamberlain. That is disgusting, right? And then you can add in like AJ Sims, Braden Wilson, a number of others, right? Then on floor, so I think doubles, you have to go with Texas. In singles, I got Alan Rawls, Alex Rawls, Fisher Hamilton, Chris Kingsbury, Cheyenne Bubenheim, Kyle Malone. Like on the single side, I feel like it's Florida. So it's like I keep going internally back and forth on this. Ultimately, I'm going to land on selling and say it's Florida by a hair.
Anthony?
I agree. Yeah, I agree. For the same exact reasons you were saying. It's like this hair. Yeah. It's tough though. It's tough, but I'm gonna have to go with Florida as well. So selling.
Landon Crabtree can make it on the Rookie of the Year ballot.
Yeah, I purposely phrased it as can just to make it really, 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 really tight. Yeah, I'm gonna.
Well, let's
sell
talk
it.
about it. Yeah, who do we got? We got Jeremiah Ellis, Sammy Soto, Caden Allen. Who else
Ryan
you want to
Trader.
throw on there? Ryan Trader, thank you. How many go on the
Braden
ballot?
Wilson.
Braden
5
Wilson.
go on the ballot.
5
So
go
it's
on the
like,
ballot.
so it's like, do I take off? We got to be missing somebody, right? I mean, if take off Braden, I mean Austin Cameron, like can Crabtree sneak
What
in
about
there?
Logan Hall? And I mean, there's just
Logan
so
Hall,
many.
There's gonna be somebody. It happens every year, right? You have your core. Like, there's no doubt to me it's gonna be Caden Allen, Sammy Soto, at this point, Ryan Trader. Like, but there's always somebody that sneaks into the conversation that you say to yourself, I didn't see that coming. So could it be Crabtree? Yes. Will it be Crabtree? No, I don't think so. I'm gonna sell it. He had a great run. It was a smaller open. Him and Justin Lang defended their home turf. I think he's gonna be more like the 7 to 9 range as far as rookie rankings. By the end of it, I'll sell it.
Anthony?
Yeah, I think those 4 are a lock. You got Soto, Ellis, Caden Allen, Trader. Those 4 are a lock. It's that 5th spot where there's going to be a dogfight. Just to kind of go through some of them, you're going to have, let's not forget Colby Scherer out there, Austin Cameron, Logan Hall, Frank Verona, Brady Foster maybe, and then you throw Crabtree in there. So I think it's going to be a just battle of those guys to take that 5th spot. I'm going to sell.
Okay. Last one. I'm permanently moving to Cabo.
Yeah. Buy it. She's already got real estate. At least a vacation home. At least a permanent timeshare, Michelle.
I wouldn't mind a vacation home as long as it came with like a pool person that would serve me food and drinks.
All right. Is that just your only spot, Meesh? Do you get out anywhere else?
No, I am. Okay,
just
so
Cabo.
there's different kinds of traveling people. Okay. I am not someone that cares about sightseeing. I just want to go on a vacation and sit by the pool and do absolutely nothing. And when I find the one that works, why would I go anywhere else? Then I'm just rolling dice. Who knows if the food's going to be good? Who knows if it's going to be a nice resort? Yeah.
But you need your other. Okay. So you only like to vacation one way. Yeah. Okay. So you have no desire to see anything else in the world.
No, it's always like work. Like then it's like not a vacation. It's like,
oh yeah. So you got work travel, you got relaxing travel, but then don't you have a third type? Don't you have a third type of like
family travel?
She's making it very clear that adventure travel is not part of her DNA.
For me.
Adventure travel. There you go.
Yeah, don't care about adventures. Not adventurous.
So the way we do it is adventure travel with your kids. Forget about it.
No,
it is a nightmare. So our travel with the kids is our relaxing travel, all inclusive. We don't have to think about it. We're sitting right here. Our adventure travel is just us. Is just us. Yeah.
Still parenting.
You're still parenting. Like when I say I want no work, I want no work. That means no parenting. All right. Hot takes. What do you got, Trey?
Hot takes. I think Ryan Trader makes it to a singles final at a pro event this season. I think he's got some gaps in his game. We're going to still see some up and downs, but I think when he's on that up, he's really, really tough to beat. I'm going to take Trader in a final of one of the 8 pro events.
Wow.
Okay. Oh, you mean like final as in on TV?
Yes.
Yep. Oh, okay. Got it. All right. Anthony, what do you got?
I'm going to pull something off the high school. We got that in the mix on the agenda today. That's going to be coming up at Myrtle Beach at one of our next big events. I'm going to say, and it's a hot take because they're not pros, they're not well known, but I'm going to say Colorado. That will be a 3-peat, bringing home some hardware from the national championship by Colorado 3 years in a row.
Yeah, I like that one. I'm going to go with, I think, Trey, you may have done a Colby Scherer hot take in the past. I can't remember what it was. Did you say rookie of the year for that one?
Yeah, maybe on the ballot, yeah.
Do you remember? Okay, because I was going to say I think he's going on the ballot. But I can't remember if yours was that or equal or better. But I think Colby Scherer will be on the ballot. I think he's that good. And that's some hard real estate to grab there. So Colby's a great player. All right, that's all we got time for. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll see you all next time.